to Life Transitions Radio Talk Show with yours truly, Coach Latoya, here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. Happy Saturday. Happy May. I know it's like graduation season. Got a lot of people graduating and getting ready to hop into either something for the summer or even a permanent job. So happy graduations to all of you. I know some of our high school folks are finishing up prom. We had a few proms that was going on, and then they are hopping into their graduations over the next couple of weeks as well. So happy Saturday, all y'all. Hope y'all got something good going on this weekend. Hope you're getting a chance to spend some time with your family and some friends and all of that good stuff. So welcome to the show today, Life Transitions, y'all. I am so honored to bring to you a fellow FAMU Rattler that is, y'all, he funny. Yeah, he has a great story. He's like a brother to me. He and my brother are really cool. So had a chance to know him for a long time. So y'all help me welcome to Life Transition Show today, Floyd Williams. How you doing, Floyd?
I'm amazing. Any better, they put me in jail. I'm doing great. Doing great. How about yourself?
It's gonna be good. I'm good. I am doing very well, very well. So listen, Life Transitions is all about, transitioning and that sort of thing. And you know that I have a passion for helping students transition into whatever they want to do. So I love the things that you are doing in the community and that sort of thing. But before we go into that, let's go all the way back. Let's go back to Lil Floyd. Okay, let's go back to Lil Bitty Floyd. Tell us, like, where you from, right? What's your background? Where you from?
Well, I hail from the city beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay, all right.
Born and raised in Broward County.
Okay, so Broward County. That 954.
You know it. You know it. We wear that badge proudly. We wear it proudly. Wear it proudly. Born and raised, like I said, baby boy of two. I always say I'm the younger brother, but I'm the better brother because I got into a lot of trouble growing up. But like Trick say, thank God it got greater later. So, it allows a humble beginning, allows a triumphant end. And so that's what I'm trying to do for the world.
That is true. That is true. Okay. So growing up in Broward County, tell us some things that you learned there that, really helped you out just in life in general.
I think that Will Smith calls it the adversity paradox. And I think that when you grow up in what I would say humble beginnings or projects, the hood, you pick up on things that allow you to transition through life. Like, I don't know very many people where I'm from that didn't have to heat their house with the stove, that didn't boil water to take a bath, that didn't get a chance to eat or was on governmental cheese and all that good stuff. That was my upbringing. And so what that did for me was it allowed me mental fortitude. There's not much that can happen in my life. And I pray to God that I never have to go back to those days or allow my children to experience that. But if it was to happen, I'm equipped.
That's right.
I'm equipped. And
that's so, right.
Yeah.
I like that.
I enjoy being from South Florida.
Okay. I like that mental fortitude. I love that. And I like what it has done for you and lots of others, right? I mean, heating the house with the stove, like you really went there with that one. I mean, that's old school. And that government cheese, that big block they used to give you. Remember that?
Yeah, with the green wrapper. Yeah.
See, our kids won't be able to experience that. Our kids don't know about how you had to boil that water for some good warm bath water, right? So
I'm telling you, my kids locked themselves out the house last week and were just sitting outside because they didn't know how to break into a house. Like being a latchkey kid, I grew up with the shoestring on my neck, right? And so if you lost that key, you better know to go move some windows and try to figure some stuff out. But my kids, like I said, thank God they've never had to experience anything like that. So they were just like, Dad, we gonna sleep in the truck. So, it's one of those things that we laugh about now that, they're not, they don't have the hood mentality, which again, for some people, it is a good thing to have, not to want to deprive anybody or the negative connotation of it, but to understand how to take care of yourself, understand how to keep your head on the swivel. When you're brought up in adverse conditions, you see things. That joke that everybody say, when you see people run, you don't stop and figure it out. You run too. When you don't come up in those situations, you stand there and you're going, well, what's going on? And you trampled or you done got yourself in bigger trouble. Take off. Take off.
That's right. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, take off. We'll figure out what we're running from. I don't know. That's where it goes.
You're
Yeah.
right, though. You are right. And even though it's not something that we are always proud of, it has taught us some things that that has helped us in life, really, right? I mean,
Right.
you address situations differently. When, like you said, you get locked out of the house, okay, that's fine. We're gonna find a way to get in.
That's
Um,
right.
so and you can then take that on into other things in life, right? When you're told
That's
no,
right.
you're like, all right, I mean, you told
There
me
has to be another way.
right. It could be another way. So, all
Yeah.
right. So, thank you for giving me a little bit about Broward County 954 representing.
100%.
So you made your way up to the highest of 7 hills in
100%.
Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. How'd you get there?
Man, I'll tell you, and we discussed this. It is so. I graduated from South Plantation High School. I graduated with honors. I graduated with a 3.85 GPA. And but here's the thing. I was a student that didn't try. I was a B student without trying. But my family, and it's crazy. I was thinking about it this morning. I'm the first grandchild to go to college, but 3 out of my 6 nieces, or 3 out of the 5, but 3 out of the 6 siblings that my grandmother or my mom has, 3 of them went, 3 of them didn't. But I had zero guidance. My grandmother at the time was 60 something and she was going through a divorce. So there was, okay, do I need to sit and try to figure out FAFSA forms, or do I need to make sure the lights stay on? And so it was one of those things. And I really thought having that responsibility as a kid working was, okay, well, look, my family has a landscaping company. I'm either going to do that or I'm going to go work with the other side of the family. I'm going to go work at the Port of Fort Lauderdale. All lucrative jobs, but I just didn't think college was for me. A good friend of mine named Eric, his mother asked me one day what I was doing after graduation. I had no answer. I don't know. I'm going to go to work. And she said, well, why would you go to college? And I was like, I don't know. Like a lot of kids, I don't know. I don't know how to get there. I don't know the first thing to do. What am I supposed to do? My grades are good, but I don't have any college experience at all. And thanks to her, she actually took power of attorney over me. And so she got access to my transcripts. She made sure that I was able to apply for schools. And I applied, man, when we started doing it, every couple, it was $56 to apply. I remember that. And I was working, trying to find application money. And so the school gave you 3, and then I applied to another 4 or 5, right? And I ultimately fell on Florida A&M University. And so FAMU offered something that I didn't have. And that was the ability to be away from my family, but still have family. So Eric was actually, he's a year ahead of me. So he was already there. So when I went to visit and be completely transparent, it's 8-1 at FAMU.
Yeah.
It caught my eye. And so before the tradition, before the legacy, all of that good stuff, I was just like, man, look, I'm finna be out here. These people out here wearing Jabot jeans and all this good stuff. Oh yeah, I'm on this, right? And so the more I started talking, a lot of my friends was like, yeah, I'm going to FAM too. So it was a no brainer. And and then when I get there, then you get immersed in the tradition, the history, the brotherhood, the friends that you find, the relationships that you forge, whether it be professors, students, or just people like Soul Train, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Those people that you run into that have long-standing history on the hill, how can you not want to be a part of that?
You're right.
So the FAM knew I went.
I love all of this. First of all, let's go back. I got to hear about this mindset of the high school graduate that's I don't know stage. I
That's
don't know
right.
what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I don't know a lot about going to college other than it's gonna cost money that I don't
That's
know
right.
how to get, right? Or
Hmm.
I have a family that, like you said, I could go work family business stuff, or I could go over here and work at the port. This is what I'm exposed to. This is
Yeah.
what I have seen. This is what I see people do in my neighborhood, right?
That's right.
That mindset, those little Floyds are still out there, right? And they
Yes, sir.
still are facing this obstacle like, hey, usually as a kid, the goal is go to school, make good grades. Go to school, make good grades. All right. Well,
Yeah.
now that you're a senior graduating high school, you come to this fork in the road like, all right, now what do I do?
Now what?
So for you, your Aaron's mom coming in, right?
Hmm.
Or Eric, sorry, coming in,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And taking power of attorney for you, like that's huge. That is
Yeah.
huge, right? So I know you talked about it a little bit, and you talked about kind of what she was doing to help you, but what did that do for you?
Well, I want to say that for me, most kids that I talk to don't believe that college is for them. Whether they have to, as I like to say, take up they pick and start working because you want to provide, or you just don't think that you're good enough, that your grades qualify, what have you. I wasn't necessarily that group of kid. I was literally, like you said, I had no idea. I didn't know where to start.
Mhm.
But with Miss Alford's help, it was amazing because one, you get to see someone that cares about you outside of your bloodline.
Mhm.
And for my grandmother to understand I'm limited. My grandmother went to Blanche Ely High School for 1 year. She went to the ninth grade, and that was it.
Mhm.
So she understood, well, though I have kids that went to school, they probably did, my aunts and uncles probably did it by themselves,
Yeah.
probably.
Mhm.
And so for her to say, well, I'm in my golden years and I don't know what to do and I don't have the money. And here's this person that says, hey, let me help you.
Mhm.
What that did for me, like I said, I speak to her often now. And every time I go home, if I don't see anybody, I go see Eric's parents
Yeah.
because they made me an honorary offer. So everything that she was calling me, hey, did you set up for the SAT? Hey, ACT. Hey, what are you looking like? What's your report card gonna look like? She was behind me.
Mhm.
Community service stuff. I was a part of Future Business Leaders of America and Institute of Business and Entrepreneurship. So all of these extra things, sports, she was like, oh, just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. It gave me that level of confidence. I imagine I was going to get into any school that I applied to. But again, that hurdle of just not even understanding how to traverse, to get to that point
Yeah.
is what she helped me with.
Yeah. Shout out to FBLA folks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that organization. That group.
Yeah.
Um, thank you for that. Thank you for that because that helps with people that have students or have kids that are in that mind frame, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need that person, that person kind of outside of the mom, the dad, the people in the house.
That's right.
So you got the fam and good thing, right? Eric was there, but
Mhm.
you had a little, you knew somebody. Um,
Yeah.
and you get there and I get the initial attraction. You say 8-1. I think it was more like 10, 12-1. I mean,
Well,
it
well,
was,
well, here's the math that I did.
please
It,
tell me.
here's the math that I did. So at the time, there's FAMU, Florida State, TCU.
Uh-oh, there you go. Look, he put us on
Uh,
mute. There we go. All right. FAMU.
so FAMU, Florida State, and TCC.
Okay.
So I figured 8 from FAMU. Florida State was running somewhere in the 6 or 7.
Okay.
So I added that. I said, okay, so I'm 15. plus what I get from TCC. Let's say they had 3. So now I'm at 21, but I'm an attractive fella. So I'm like 21, I get half of this other dude. So I'm like, shoot, that's 32. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But
Oh,
I'll tell you that for me, I think that it was a great way of getting me there. But what I realized fast is that the women that go to these schools, they ain't there for some of the reasons that men do.
yeah. Well,
They
listen.
about their business.
Listen, that the ratio is what gets a lot of men to Tallahassee, right? A lot of
Yeah,
them to Tallahassee.
yeah,
And I think there was a status going around. This young man said his girlfriend decided to go to FAMU, and he said, "I'm just gonna focus on myself." And I'm like, "Yeah." And everybody in the
that's
comments
it.
like, "Yeah, bro, just go ahead, focus on yourself."
Yeah, because you look, you come with a girlfriend, and you don't keep them.
You ain't gonna keep it,
You don't
right?
keep 'em.
So
Nah.
anyway, so it's definitely attraction to Tallahassee. But of course,
Yeah.
we both know being graduates of Florida A&M that there is so much more, not only to the school and being at FAMU, but also to the city, right? And
Yeah.
so when you got there, I know that's what attracted you there, but when you actually got there,
Hmm.
tell me something that initially kind of just took your breath away.
So when I get to FAMU, I'm a part of SBI, School of Business and Industry. And I had never seen, even playing football, they tell you wear a jersey and a tie or something like that. But to see these 5-year students that are in suit and tie, some with briefcases, not just book bags. When you see School of Allied Health and you see the white coats, that instantly was like, okay, well, this ain't all for fun. Like here are, and again, to a 19-year-old kid, I was looking at business people and I was looking at doctors, right? And that was so appealing and so encouraging. Like, man, look at these people. These my people. And there's nothing against, traditionally white schools, but when you have never seen a black doctor
Mm.
and you see 150 of them walking,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
conversations that they're having are both popular culture and what's in these books.
Mm-hmm.
Well-rounded people. And I was like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I need to be. And so that's why I believe I had an opportunity to transfer to Florida State and I didn't do it because I bleed on my in-laws are Florida State graduates and I had no idea.
Wow.
Had no idea. They bleed orange and green.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that either. Wow.
No
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Because they be at
Yeah.
all the tailgates. They be at
Exactly.
everything, FAMU.
They do
I
it large. And again, you would think that, I mean, not even undergrad. They
didn't.
never attended FAMU, but they was at the set. They
Oh,
were at be out days. They were at all the homecomings long before they even got to the Hill, because that was a part of their culture. They just happened to be accepted to at the time. Like if you ask me now, like schools are like this, but opportunity and what that looks like on your transcript to say that you graduated from a predominantly white school did something for them in their career at the time. And then now, like I said, you say you went to FAMU, put some respect on my name.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, um, let's talk about that scene. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a freshman, and this was when the calf was on the set, right? I don't know if y'all were
Right.
you there yet. Were you
Orange room.
okay? Okay. Oh
Orange
yeah,
room.
yeah. Orange Room. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So when I was my freshman year, right, I had not started in the major core classes, but just kind of taking those English 1101 and all of that,
There
right?
you go.
Over in Tucker
Math
Hall, right?
1205, geometry 1205.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember on Tuesdays and Thursdays seeing like this just trail of students in these suits. And it's Tallahassee, it's hot, it's good and hot, right? But they are dressed from head to toe, going
Yes.
into what we now know as forum, right? Going into forum
Yes.
to
Yes.
meet with companies and all of that.
4,500 leaders. That's right.
Yes. Absolutely. And so that was one of the first things that kind of took my breath away. It was actually, I think it wasn't until like the next semester that I actually saw the white coats, because that was pretty powerful actually, because I was like,
Yeah.
wow, like look at all these people walking around in these white coats. So I definitely get that. I got to get your first impression of the set. Like I gotta understand what was your first
And
impression of being on FAMU's set?
I recall again, I'm green, right? I'm green, 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 green. So my roommate, which you happen to know, my freshman year roommate, Mr. Franklin Delano Roosevelt Hadley III, Frank and Pop and Mose and Julian, all people you know,
Yes.
they had just left Upward Bound. So they
Oh,
were literally on campus 2 weeks before
yeah.
the start of school.
Yeah.
So I get there and again, I'm green. So I'm following behind them. Wherever they say go, we go. So they like, we going to the set. Again, I just throw on some flip-flops and a t-shirt and was like, yeah, I'm going to the set. Frank looked at me like, nah, bro, you can't go like that. And I'm like, well, why not? And he was like, you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed my clothes, put on something fresh, and Lord Jesus, it was like a fashion show. It
Yes.
was music. It was music. There was art. There was people dancing. It was Greek life. It was frozen ices.
Mm-hmm.
It was everything. And I'm like, people just sitting cooling. And then of course you got Duval,
Yeah.
you got Shy, you got people throwing up the X,
Yeah.
you got all these people, Houston Club, all these people, and again being from South Florida, so I'm just like looking at these cultures. For a long time, I thought every person that came from Chicago was licensed.
Yeah.
For the longest, that's what I thought. But to see all these people, and again, had never been in a place where you could see 2,000 people that are 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
19 to 24, and it was live. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was overwhelming, but I found my way.
Yeah, I bet you
Look,
did.
the stoop was where you could find me. We were
Yeah.
holding down the stoop.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. The set was, I used to call the set magical, right? Because it was hard to explain if you had never experienced it. Like you said, it was art, it was dancing, it was people, it was food, it was, just all of this, but and all of this being done by all these Black people, right? And just to see
That's right.
Black people fellowshipping and laughing and the music and all of that. Was just magical to me. So we used to call it, the magic was happening on the set. So
Oh, most definitely.
we know that was kind of back in the day. We are a little aged here. And now they
A little
have
bit.
this amphitheater, right? Shout out to Will Packer for going back to FAMU and putting the amphitheater there. So that's cool.
Yeah,
But so FAMU life was good for you. And you graduated.
I
Um,
did.
and so before we go into kind of this passion of yours and that sort of thing, anything you want to
Yeah.
tell the listeners about what FAMU taught you, anything that you're like carrying with you today from a lesson or something that you learned at FAMU?
FAMU is so I'll go beyond FAMU. I'm gonna talk about HBCUs.
Okay.
So I just recently relocated to Georgia from Louisiana, where they have this small school called Southern, right? So the thing is, when you are a Rattler, and we were in the MEAC when I was there. So you're talking about A&T and Norfolk and all those guys. We really didn't deal with Grambling and Southern and the other schools that are in the SWAC now. So, but it's amazing that when you run into other HBCU graduates, it's like you send a cousin, right? You're gonna throw a jab, yeah. I went to FAM, you went to A&T or wherever, but then there's this kinship,
Yep.
and that is what I carry more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest blessing I have, and I tell people all the time that I had a great group of friends in high school. I've known them since I was in elementary school. We went to the same three schools, and they didn't make it to FAMU. Well, most of them. I did bring one of them with me. He came a little late, but for the most part, the guys that I talked to, my brothers, all came from FAMU.
Mm.
All the men in my wedding, pretty much FAMU.
Mhm.
Your brother,
Yeah.
which he and I was the best man at his wedding. He was the
Yep.
best man in mine. Again, how did you meet? If you ask Leo, he'll tell you the same thing. I don't know. We just been friends.
Yeah.
Have not the slightest idea how, what, who said, hey, this is Leo and hey,
Right.
this is Floyd. We were just always together. And that's just the way that it was. And it's that relationship.
Yeah.
It is those lessons, those when you feeling bad, when you too tired, you hung over, you can't study. I'll never forget your brother sitting at the doggone dining room table after we left the moon, and he's swaying in the seat,
Yeah.
but he's studying.
Yep.
And that was to me like, well, hell, I guess I need to study too,
Yeah.
right? So, but it is those lessons that I carry, and people have said, the financial aid scandal happened while I was there. And again, that allowed me, okay, look, I know I got this award letter, I got this money coming, but I was able to negotiate.
Mhm.
It is furthering that notion that I mentioned earlier, coming from adverse, beginnings, that you learn how to rob Peter to pay Paul. You understand how to juggle responsibility and set priorities.
Yep.
And so that's the number one thing that I got from FAMU is understanding how to navigate life,
Yeah.
because it's not, oh, well, you come here and it's just swimming pools and women in bikinis and you get some education, you go on about your business. No, it is life in a small capsule. It is life. It's relationships. It's understanding finances. It's understanding that you have priorities. Like I said, when I got there, and they was asking me about classes. I was like, ain't no bell. Nah, there's nobody to call you and say you got an 805. Get up.
Yep.
Dr. Cliff Brown said to me, he's a psych teacher. Cliff Brown said, look, I only need you to come the first 2 weeks, because after the 2 weeks, the registrar closes the attendance and I'm paid. And if you don't come back, we'll get you in the class. I get paid again. And I said, that's what FAMU is.
Yeah.
It is the reality check to life.
Yep.
And that's what I love the most.
That is so true. And shout out to all the FAMU professors that always kept it real with us. No matter the situation, right? They were going
That's
to
right.
keep it real. They were like having uncles and aunts on campus. And like you said, it wasn't a bell schedule, but you could hear your professor in your head. Like, if you don't get your behind in this class,
That's right.
okay,
I'm trying to
get up
tell
and get in here. So
you. Yes.
so thank you for giving me that, y'all. We're gonna take a quick break, listen to some music, y'all. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Life Transitions Radio Talk Show with yours truly, Coach Latoya, here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. This broadcast is being brought to you by Shop with Be Queen, an online boutique for fashion, beauty, and business. Boutique style products are limited to keep your style unique and one of a kind. You can visit them at shopwithbequeen.com. That is shop with B, that's BEE queen.com. All right, now let's jump back into this conversation with Mr. Floyd Williams. So Floyd gave us all this background on how he got to where he is and how he matriculated his way up to FAMU and left a stamp, left a
Oh
good
yeah, they know my name.
impression.
They know my name now.
They
They
know
know my
your
name.
name, right.
They know my
So,
name.
so you have this passion that I
Mhm.
really want our listeners to hear about. Tell me how this thing started.
Well, so it's College Express tours, and it didn't. Some things I think that you are drawn to. It was not something that I sat down and said, "Hey, let's find a business to start. Let's do something." It was really brought to me, and it kind of manifested itself into what it is today. I lived in Batesville, Arkansas, very small town. Only really has one good job, and most people there don't look like me. And so I was in Walmart one night, and this white lady was walking behind me, and I go down the aisle, she comes down the aisle behind me. I go to another aisle, she show up. So again, I'm from the hood. I grew up in South Florida. I'm upset. So I make it through checkout, and this lady comes outside of the store and says, "Excuse me." I turned around with the rage of the devil. I ain't gonna lie to you. Woman, I paid. I got my receipt in my hand. Lady, I paid. I ain't stealing from y'all like that. And she said, oh, I am so sorry. She says, my name is Christine. And I said, okay. And she said, I've never seen you before. And again, I go, okay. And she said, you're different. And I said, okay, I'm getting softer because she's not being aggressive at all. And so she says, I just wanted to ask you if you were married. And I said, yes. She says, do you work around here? I said, yes, I work at Future Fuel. She said, and what about your wife? I said, my wife's an engineer for the same company. And she said, I don't mean to offend you, but is your wife black or white? And I said, she's black. And she said, this is your vehicle. At the time, I had a Tahoe and it had 24s on it. It was a nice looking car. And so she says, well, have you ever heard of Upward Bound? And I said, of course, it started at University of Florida. So she asked me where I'm from, and she said that she's the director for Upward Bound for Lyon College, which is a private institution they have there in Batesville. And she said, I'd love for you to come. Well, before she said, she asked me if I was educated. And I said, of course, I went to Florida A&M University. I have 3 degrees and I'm working on my master's. And so she said, perfect. I would love for you to come and talk to my kids. And she said, I'm going to be honest. I asked if your wife was white because in that area, there's a lot of mixed interracial marriages, which again, nothing wrong with that. But she wanted to show her kids, which was 95% black kids, impoverished children that had good grades, a black man with a black woman that's educated. Mm-hmm. And when she started telling me, it went back to my FAMU story. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, great. Here are these kids that are just like me, you know? And I've always said that I'm XL regular. I'm a regular dude. I'm extra large in my effort. Mm-hmm. And I'm 6'5". I'm a big person. So people most of the time, they think the XL is my stature. The XL is not my stature. It's my drive. Mm-hmm. It's my ambition. Mm-hmm. It's my passion, like Jay-Z said, pardon my passion, right? I.e. Farrakhan. But I said, okay, yeah, cool, I can do that. And so we set up a date. And I said, talking to my wife, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I'm gonna go talk to these kids. And again, I'm nervous. And so she says, well, yeah, put on this suit and all this good stuff. I was like, well, they're high school kids. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna put on the suit necessarily. So I said, well, I'll call her. And I asked her, she said, look, dress regular. Yeah. Matter of fact, if you can park your truck right out in front of the auditorium, because I want kids to see what you look like and what you're doing with your life. I said, cool. So I pull up in some True Religion jeans and at the time Ed Hardy was still big, and an Ed Hardy shirt and some J's. Right. And so the lady she asked me for my bio, and it's crazy when people ask you about yourself and really want you to break it down, like the degrees and all that good stuff and the travel and all this other stuff. I don't live in that. Yeah. I'm just Lil Floyd from South Florida. But I'm sitting in the back of the class and I have my wife and my son at the time. I don't have my daughter yet. And we're just sitting in the back. I'm listening to, as she's reading my bio, the kids are going, another white dude. So another white dude. Right. And so she finally says, Mr. Floyd Williams, and I get up, the look on the kids' faces was like, yeah. And at that time, they've never really met or been able to touch someone that made 6 figures, someone that has traveled, someone that looks like them, and more importantly, speaks like them. Mm-hmm. And so I got up there and I went over my FAMU story, and I told them that I really didn't believe that college was even in the future for me because I just had no exposure. Yeah. And I applauded them for having it. And as we went through and we talked about effort, and that was really my big thing, trying to get kids motivated, because college isn't for everyone. Mm-hmm. But the right to go to college is.
Yeah.
There is a myriad of ways for you to become successful, and they don't all go through universities, colleges, and such,
Yeah.
right? But the discipline that you get, the relationships, the education too,
Yeah.
is the part that I really try to push.
Yeah.
So out of that, I did that a couple summers, and
Hold on, wait a minute. Before you go forward, I
yeah,
just got to go back to the Walmart part. First of all, I lived in Bentonville, Arkansas. I think you knew that for like 2 years.
yeah,
So,
that's where Walmart comes from.
yeah, exactly. I lived in the
Yeah,
Walmart headquarters, so I
yeah.
didn't understand that. It took me like 2 weeks. No, sorry, it took me like 2 months to find somebody to do my hair. But anyway, so I get Miss Christine wanted to approach you about Upward Bound and all of those good things.
Mhm.
However, let's talk about the fear that Black men go through, right? Of having someone kind of following them, having, so all this time, you're building up in a negative way, right? You're like,
Yeah,
oh, this is, and I think sometimes others don't understand like what that actually does to us. It's not a
yeah,
friendly thing to follow people or whatever. I think her
right.
best bet, the first time she was on the aisle with you, she could have had that
She
conversation.
should have spoke first.
Yes, she should have definitely done, especially the way you get all the way outside. So now it's just like, oh my goodness. So now you're so
Yeah,
defensive, right? But kudos to you, because what I like that you did was, as her voice changed, right? And she was very soft in her approach, she wasn't aggressive,
hmm,
whatever that is, it helped you to kind of bring your level down, right? To where you
yeah,
could have a productive conversation. And the only reason I'm pointing that out is because sometimes, we got some cousins that
yeah,
they stay up there, right? They stay at
yeah.
that high level, and then they would never get to that end result of you being
Right.
able to present to those kids. So I
You
just,
never know. You never know what an opportunity looks like.
yep,
Right? And it's like when you look at a pineapple. A pineapple looks spiny and it's super sweet, right? And that's really what this is. It's, well, I feel like you're following me, but for her, she was only trying to provide me an opportunity. And talking to her later on, because we became friends.
yeah,
Again, I did that for about 3 years. And so I would always joke with her. I'm like, yeah, you ran up on a black dude, right? And she said it was whatever you were going to say was not more important than what I was going to say.
mm,
And
mm,
so I said that takes a lot of cojones,
mm-hmm,
right? Because she's not a big lady, right? And again, she didn't know me from Adam, and I'm not a small guy.
mm-hmm,
So for her to see something, and I always ask, but why me? And
yeah,
she kept saying that you just stood out. You're
yeah,
just different. And okay, cool. But whatever that little light that I had going on that night at Walmart propelled me into this.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for going back to that. So the kids see you pull up in your J's, you got your
Mm-hmm.
Tahoe outside sitting on 24s, all of that good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You had a good conversation with them. What next?
So, like I said, I did it for a few summers, and they would always ask about going to FAMU because, of course, that's where my heart resides, right? And so Christina said, "Well, Floyd, have you ever thought about maybe we should try to do tours?" Because she wanted to take them to University of Arkansas, which is real big. If you know anything about Arkansas, they all want to call the Hogs. And so I was like, I don't really know. And so my wife and I, we started thinking about it. We didn't leave Arkansas and we moved to Louisiana. So when we get to Louisiana, Louisiana is Black people everywhere, right? And so I was like, man, look, I really think that that's something that I want to do. I got involved with the Urban League
Mm-hmm.
and did a lot of work with them, became a member of the board, and started having conversations about literacy, having conversations about um, enrollment dropping among HBCUs and all that, and it just said to me, yeah, that's something that you should do. You should introduce kids to college
Mm-hmm.
and do it in a way because again, the thought of college was such a professional thing to me.
Mhm.
It was such an adult thing for me that my little mind couldn't really wrap around how do I get from this to that.
Yeah.
And so those conversations that I had with the Upward Bound group is what I started doing with high schools
Yeah.
and outreach groups. I started telling them, look, here's the thing, go see,
Yeah.
go see. That's all I'm asking.
Mhm.
But the spin with College Express is my loyalty lies with the student.
Mhm.
It doesn't lie. And again, I've been to FAMU. I love FAMU, but I had real deal conversations about FAMU, real deal conversations about University of Virginia, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M,
Mhm.
University of Texas.
Mhm.
We've had University of Florida. We've had all these schools that we've gone to. It is, I have to be the liaison for the student and the parent.
Yeah.
So when high schools have representatives come to the school, their job is to increase enrollment. And so it is all the perks. It is every accolade that school has ever received,
Yeah.
and it makes it look great. Case in point, you take someone from South Florida. South Florida is flat. We have no hills. It's flat. You take a young boy from South Florida and you stick him at the hill and you tell him that he's going to live in Palmetto South and he got to walk up to the set. If anybody knows anything, you're going to be funky by the time you get up there because it's this.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so that for some kids that go from the South that look at schools in the Midwest or the North, if you've never been in temperatures that drop below 30, they'll get you up there and you're going to leave
Yeah.
because it's too cold.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least it's going to be harder on you. So
Yeah.
those are the conversations that I have. Not only that, we talk about safety standards and things of that nature. We talk about what it is to live on campus and all those things that the questions that kids are too afraid to ask or don't know to ask are the questions that I have to answer on these tours. Me and my advocates, that's really what we do. We go to the schools and we allow the school representative to give all the good information.
Mhm.
But we have to then say, look, here's some other things that we need to think about.
Okay.
Here's what tuition is. And look, here's where you're going to be financially with tuition. I actually got accepted to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. It's a private school. They offer me a partial scholarship. It still costs $7,000 a semester for me to go there because I wanted to be a pilot. We couldn't afford
Right.
that. so I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And those are the things. Sometimes we want to make sure that we help kids and families make these decisions before they go to Nebraska.
Right.
And they go, wait a minute, only Black people I see on the football and basketball team. This may be a cultural shock for me,
Right.
right? And those are the things that we try to offer the kids.
Yeah. So the cool thing here is that, like you said, you are representing and you are advocating for the student and what's going to be best for the student. So that's probably what sets you apart from some of these other tours, or even just like you said, these representatives that come in. Their goal is, hey, we're just trying to get as many folks enrolled as possible, and
That's
not
right.
taking into consideration other factors that could lead to an unsuccessful college year for some of these students, right? So
Yeah,
that's the real cool part about it, is that it's not necessarily about just getting them enrolled. You're trying to find the best fit for each individual person based on what
yeah,
they like, what some adversities that they may be faced with, right, before they get there.
that's
Because
right.
we all know some students that went for maybe a semester, a half a semester, and was like, I'm out, I'm leaving,
Yeah,
this isn't for me, I can't do it. And a lot of times it's because they got there and it's something that they didn't think about, right? Or no one exposed them to, and then they were faced with that and felt like, hey, I can't push through this. This is,
that's right.
I'm gonna leave.
That's right.
So
You'd be amazed at how many people just get homesick,
mhm,
just homesick,
mhm,
because they're so far away. And at that time, and I think about living so many far off places by myself. when you go, say someone from California that comes all the way to the East Coast, their family is not
Right.
just a quick drive away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what that does for you is it puts you into a pressure cooker
Mm-hmm.
because you have to start making decisions and help isn't right there.
Right.
Right. And so that's really what I try to provide is that understanding for both the student and the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Look, okay, you okay? Because parents have separation anxiety,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Right. And so are you really okay with your child being 6 hours away?
Mm-hmm.
And everything that we do is to make that decision easier.
Yep. Uh,
Rather that when
yeah.
can I go up there? School I literally had parents going, well, how do I get on campus? Can I just go anytime? But I need to call. Nah, you can go whenever you want,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's those things, you have kids generally want to see you homecoming and things of that nature. When there's an influx of people on campus, are generally when the parents come, and then graduation, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to just up and go see your kid, just go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so that's that's
Okay.
that's always the conversation.
So College Express tours. So where are we now? What do we have coming for College Express, or what are we doing now with College Express tours?
Well, here in the Atlanta area, we're actually about to launch a citywide tour.
Okay.
So generally speaking, College Express tours for the 4 years that it's been 5 years, I guess now, that has been in existence has really just worked with outreach groups that will contact us. Again, my relationship with Urban League and all those things. And then we pick up high schools and students say, hey, I would like to go to this. And then we pick up multiple tours and then the basketball teams and so forth and so on. It's always attached to something else. College Express has not done one that says, look, I'm inviting all kids.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what school you go to. Here's where we're going to go.
Yeah.
And as long as you want to go, no problem, we can go. So that's actually in the works. It's going to be a summer program. Just because you here we predominantly like to go high school spring break,
Okay.
which falls right after the college spring break.
Yeah.
So kids are back, they're getting ready for exams, but the campuses are buzzing.
Yeah.
Right. And so by us being able to bring kids, we don't like sending them to colleges and there's no one on campus.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you've ever gone to summer school, it's a ghost town. The
Yeah.
only people that are there are either people that got to be there or the people that's trying to graduate quick. Right. So,
Everybody else out. Yeah.
yeah. So we're going to catch it. We're going to catch it right at the tail end so that we still have a lot of kids on campus so that they can sit down and talk to them, and my experience, again, I got to the Hill in 1999. So my experience, matter of fact, I just had a young man that was in my office. He plays baseball for FAMU.
Okay.
He's a freshman. Our experiences are vastly different. They don't have Patty Foot. They don't have Simpson. They don't have the traditional dorms that I grew up with. Like
Yeah.
I say, everything looks new.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so having conversations, I have more parent conversations with kids now, and I allow the students that are on campus to interact and have that. This is what it is. I was just in high school a year ago, 2 years ago, and this is what I'm experiencing, and this is why I love to be here. And
Yeah.
that all helps, gathering that information so that decision is easier.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And yes, so FAMU has definitely changed, right? Because our dorms aren't there. They knocked down all kinds of stuff. So shout out to all the donors, all the FAMU alum that's sending your money back because they are using it in all good ways to keep
Yes.
improving that campus. So that is also cool. But then also having that baseball player, because he's, not far from their age, right? He was just there.
Right.
So that's a really good source for them to say, hey, I can kind of ask you some stuff I can't ask Mr. Williams, right? Because
Yeah.
it's been a while. So I love
That's
that you
right.
also pull him in or just pull in those types of folks that is relatable, right? Because these kids, you got to get down to their level. You got to find
That's right.
something, get down to their level, so you can actually get through to
It's
them.
a constant change. Like I say, when I
Yes.
first started talking to the kids in Arkansas, I was 30 years old.
Yeah.
30 years old. And so now I got a little salt and pepper. You know, I don't look nearly as young. I put on some weight, you know, they call it happiness. That's what I'm gonna call it. I put on some happiness, you know, all those things. So now it's right?
Yeah.
Before it was like, that's my cousin or my brother. Now it's, oh, that's you
Yeah.
know, so
You
as
have been
our age,
promoted. You have been
right,
promoted.
right. Now they look at me like, yeah, he kind of cool, but he is almost 50. Right? So having ambassadors that are closer to their age, so the young men and women that go on the tours now, most of them will see me in the schools. I have the conversations. We are the face, and so that we have those conversations with the parents again, because I'm older, right? But when they go, they have a younger,
Yeah.
very mature person that is going to be there and make sure that they answer those questions, and that they're going, hey, did you think about this?
Yeah.
Hey, did you think about why? I had a young lady ask me at University of Virginia, why is there so many call boxes? And I said, well, there's a one every 100 feet is the new standard because of things that had happened to young ladies
Yeah.
previously at that university. And that's okay. Again, it's not something that they're going to mention, which again, I don't blame them, but it's something that I have to mention because that is a real deal threat,
Yeah.
you know, especially in these days and times when you have trafficking and all those things. Talking about protection, talking about awareness, talking about how to be in a group, how to maneuver so that you stay safe while you're educating yourself is still important.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we wrap this thing up, anything else you want to mention about College Express tours? Anything else for our parents out there that have high school students that could potentially want to participate? Anything you want to share?
Yes, most definitely. Hit the website www.collegeexpresstours.com. And it's not, we're building it to not only be a place for you to connect with us, but also a place for resources. So I'm working on getting a tutorial for the financial aid component, because again, a lot of people, they don't know when to apply, they don't know if the taxes, who can I use, and all those good things. So I'm working on getting a presentation from an admissions administrator that can actually speak to, this is what you need to do, this is when, this is how, as well as test scores and requirements, extracurricular activities, things of that nature. We're trying to become a one-stop shop so that even if you're not, say you already know what school you're going to go to, but you don't know the process. Being here in Georgia, everybody wants to go to UGA, right? And that's great, but you don't know what your test score requirements are to get into UGA, right? You don't know when the deadline to submit your application. And so that way you don't end up bumping out another semester, you sitting at home. When you go, you need to go.
Yeah.
Because if you say I'm gonna sit out a semester or wait, then things happen and maybe you don't do it. So making sure that we're on point, but that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
So if you're not trying to go on the tour, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Send us a note, send us an email. Hey, I've been thinking about that. Hey, here's some things that I didn't know about. Could you tell me? Could you find this out for me? And we'll definitely do that for you.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Definitely always good to share information as these kids are transitioning, right? You
That's
go
right.
from, I always tell kids, I'm like, you're so in a rush to grow up, but when you get there, it's gonna be some times where you like, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? So sounds like College Express Tours is a resource that they could utilize to help them in this transition, someone that could advocate for them as they are trying to be sure that they ask all the right questions and just actually have somebody there that knows what they don't know, because what
That's
you
right.
don't know is usually what the things that'll hurt you. So thank you, kudos for you for even coming up with this, and how this all kind of came about was really cool to hear as well. So
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to you. Thank you to College Express Tours. Again, www.collegeexpresstours.com. Is that right?
Yes.
To go visit the site, check them out, see what they have going on. If you have students that want to participate, definitely reach out to Mr. Floyd Williams and College Express Tours. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being on Life Transition Show, Ms. Floyd. Appreciate it.
I
A fellow
appreciate you having me.
like my
That's right.
brother here for sure. So
Yes,
always good
sir.
to share your story. So all right, listeners. So thank you again for tuning in another Saturday with us. I will continue to bring you all types of different transitions and hopefully things you can learn from or your kids can learn from in order to just help you once you get to those particular areas. All right. So this
Right.
is Life Transitions Radio Talk Show with yours truly, Coach Latoya, here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. You can tune in every single Saturday on Apple Music, TuneIn Radio, or on WDRBmedia.com. Click the Listen Live logo and tune into the station every Saturday. I'm here 11 a.m. every Saturday. We are WDRB Media, the voice of the community. We'll see you next week, y'all.